All right. All right, good evening and welcome to the May 20th, 2026 Plastow Planning Board meeting. Shay, if you could read the roll call, please.
Richard Anthony.
Here.
Karen Robinson.
Here.
Jeez.
Dan Kane. Here. Rich Leclerc.
Out of my mind.
Hey, Rich.
Here.
Nolan Pelletier.
Got to do it.
Bill Coy.
Here.
Liz Costa. Here. And Shay Raymaker.
Here.
All right, so for purposes of this meeting tonight, I'm going to recognize that Shay Ramaker, our planning administrator, and Elizabeth Costa, the alternate to the ex officio member for Board of Selectmen, will be participating just by way of consensus. All right. Should have minutes in front of you from May 6th. If you had an opportunity to review them, then we'll accept the motion to accept them.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from May 6th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Rich Clear. All in favor? Any discussion, actually? No? Changes? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So 5-0-0. All right. All right. Packed agenda tonight. You know, a raft of conceptuals, but just a sort of a last minute, well, not last minute, it's released from the 14th. PB 25-17, an application from 27 Garden Road LLC for a preliminary design review that proposes adding parking spaces and a storage shed. The property is located at 27 Garden Road, tax map 26, lot 53 in the C3 zoning district. The property owner of record is 27 Garden Road LLC, but it looks like we correspondence from them where they're indicating that they want to be continued to June. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So for purposes of a notification for at least this preliminary, I mean, butters don't need to be notified, but PB 25-17 will be scheduled for June, what
17.
June 17th. All right. And again, that's a conceptual.
Good.
What is 27? What is that building?
June what?
What's the building? I'm trying to refresh my memory.
This thing's been continued so many times.
Yeah, it's
I'm just trying to get a visual on what building.
just
is this?
parking spaces and storage sheds.
Garden Road.
But it's the,
Yeah.
it's the two-story building right before you
Right.
hit Fire City.
Oh.
And the back,
Okay,
too.
okay. I know the building.
So, next on the agenda, continued from March 18th, 2026, PB 2605, the completeness of an application from Albert Couillard for a lot consolidation and a lot line adjustment to eventually create a residential subdivision. The plan proposes a 12-lot residential subdivision of a parcel tax map 66 lot 17-002. The subdivision also includes portions of tax map 66 lot 17-000, tax map 66 lot 17-001, and tax map 48 lot 32-003 for a total of 84.42 acres. The application proposes 12 separate residential lots, each supported by its own on-site well and septic, and with frontage on a new plus or minus 1,800 feet, each supported by its own on-site well and septic, well, just read that, roadway that will access from Hoyt Farm Road. The plan proposes 3 single-family lots, 1 duplex, and 8 triplexes. The plan also proposes drainage and related infrastructure. The property owners of record are Luke's Way LLC, David M. Hoyt, and Havel Golf and Country Club, Inc. All right. All right. So I think, how do we want to proceed as the applicant here? I know that we've had some correspondence, at least with our engineering consultant, and I think the information that we have as of today is from a letter from Keach Nordstrom and Associates, April 29th, 2026, where he had some extensive feedback. And I just think it's important to note that, in terms of getting feedback from I don't know, I think you had provided some feedback, or we were looking for some feedback between then and now. But I think our engineering consultant requires what? Like a complete new set of plans before he can. So I think that's where we're at, that we're, I know that there's been some back and forth, and there's still some issues that have yet to be resolved, at least from our consultant's perspective.
Well, first of all, I'm Al Couliard, Luke's Way, LLC. I don't know where to start. This thing should have been, so I guess I'll start over there on the board. After a long time back and forth, as of the 30th of last month, the consultant said that he liked the recent sketch and wanted Phil to keep going and recommended a meeting. Couldn't get to that meeting until the 12th of May. And we got to that meeting, and finally, since February 4th, I got the impression, basically, Stephen said, listen, Dave Hoyt's involved in this in some way. He's benefiting in some way.
What was that? I didn't catch that last part.
Dave Hoyt
Okay.
is involved in this in some way. He's benefiting from this, obviously. He's a big boy. He needs to give up some of his property to get the right alignment for this road, which through a lot of work, I got Dave to concede to that, and we gave peer review this sketch, to which he replied, excellent. So this was the whole thumb, and the whole problem with the plan in the first place was the angle of the road.
Okay. Now, angle of the road, just to orient anyone that's watching and such. When you say the angle of the road, is it the angle of the road at the intersection, or is it?
So where the proposed Coles Way will enter Hoyt Farm Road has been the point of contention. The contention is that needed to be a 200-foot radius with 75 degrees. We submitted several plans that we thought peer review could support. And then, like I said, finally on the 12th, he said he can't, and I have to do this. So we got this done. This complies completely with.
Right. So I guess, just at least, again, we don't have anything formal from our engineer as of today, but you're basically saying.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
this has been since February 4th.
Yeah.
This has been, I don't know why the review was stopped on February 4th. I mean, on February 4th, he had a full application, and he stopped because we missed a couple of notifications, which, that I'm responsible for that. My bad. I have to, we had to re-notify those people. But I mean, since February 4th, we've been trying to get a full review of this thing, and it happened. Well, now I guess he's saying it didn't happen, but it happened. I received this full review.
That's the one on the 30th.
That's on the 30th.
Okay.
And then on the 11th, I have a complete response for everything that's in here. Everything that's in here is done on a plan that's on a PDF that Stephen has, that peer review has.
So the May 11th is.
But I couldn't- I didn't get
May
it.
11th is in response to the letter you received on the
We don't have
30th.
that.
Exactly.
Okay.
We don't have that.
We don't have that one.
Well, it should.
Who doesn't have it? I mean,
We should have that. I know all about this. This is ridiculous.
yeah.
This is
I think
ridiculous.
what I have here is,
Just went through
But
this.
we don't, though.
well, one.
The thing is, we should.
All right, one sec.
I'm not disputing that,
All right.
but we
Right.
don't.
Eddie's, no crosstalk. The May 11th, is this the one where it says response to second review of Open Meadows PRD subdivision?
Correct.
Right, so that's your response?
That's from Phil Christensen. That's
All
in
right,
response
yeah, this is
to
unsigned.
the KDH letters, April 29th,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then this response was emailed with a plan, right?
Okay.
And,
Now, was the plan,
Stephen
is the
Stephen always
plan?
wants a paper copy, so I had the paper copy that he was supposed to come in person to the meeting on the 12th, and then he couldn't make it. So I was going to give him the plan that he was looking for, the paper plan.
So is the
the
plan,
12th.
is the plan for the May 11th, is that the requirement that Mr. Keach requires, like a May 11th, he wants like an updated plan, a resubmitted that speaks to, whatever his critique would have been on the 29th?
So the applicant is saying that he provided that plan digitally on May 11th.
Okay.
That shows the updates to that. But my understanding is that Mr. Keach never received a physical copy of that, which is required as a full and complete submittal.
Which he would have got on the 12th, except, on my way here at 1:45, the meeting was at 2, Shay informed me that Stephen isn't coming. He's going to try and do it on the computer. Ended up, the computer didn't work, and he ended up doing it on the cell phone.
Right, so May 12th, are we giving him does he have a physical copy of an updated plan as of May 12th or not?
No, he's not going to the office, so I didn't know whether to bring it to the office. I don't know where he lives, and I planned on putting it in his hand on the 12th,
Okay.
but he didn't show up.
All right, so
I couldn't show up.
does he have
I don't know what
does he have a
something
physical copy now or
No.
not? Okay.
He has isn't the whole world going to PDF? I mean, I've been running copies back and forth forever, and Shane and I had a conversation about it, and maybe I misinterpreted, I don't know, but I said, I changed these plans and I run them up there so many times, and it's $450 every time to get a new set of plans. I said, can't we just wait till we have the plan that I'm going to make a Mylar out of, and then that'll be the final plan, so I don't have to keep running these copies up here. And I might have misinterpreted. Shay, I don't know, she sent me an email today saying that I'm still responsible for that. I still need one physical copy.
That was today?
Not the 9 physical, that's today.
Okay.
So, I mean, just the whole thing's been, since February 4th, I'm trying my best, but it's been a boondoggle. It's been difficult to get anything accomplished here. I'm fighting an uphill battle. So, and all I want to do, this is exactly, I'm in compliance now.
Okay.
This list, I completed. I'm in compliance with that. And the main sticking point of the project was that. So finally now, he told me, basically, I'm not going to accept anything else. So I went back to Dave Hoy, we negotiated it, and I was the ability to create this plan, which is in 100% compliance with everything peer review wants.
Okay. Do we have any, Shay, do we have any, communication with Mr. Keach today? I mean, subsequent to,
Well,
I do not have a formal review letter, but I do have email correspondence saying that this proposal looks good. Again, we only received this one sheet today showing this road configuration, so all the
It was
plans
just received today.
show that.
again, I wasn't told until the 12th that this was required.
yeah.
It's not going to go unless it's 100% in compliance and you go on the Hoyt property. We probably could have done that in February. I don't know why things got stopped. I don't know what this whole thing got held up over. It's frustrating. I'm frustrated. You can tell I'm frustrated.
No, I do. I empathize.
It shouldn't be like this.
No.
It shouldn't be like this.
All right. Before we sort of, this here's again, you're representing that this is sort of the crux of the contention between, our consultant and the review process. This board still, I want to see something that's, robustly saying that we're in everything's done, but, the recommendations, and, we do have people that want to speak to the issue. And I think, I have a sense that, where the issues are going to, at least based on, the correspondence I've seen, where they're going to, cluster around. But I think before, this is, there are two things that have to happen here. We have to have a sense that whatever you've submitted, that we need to see product just sort of when this thing's going to be, something that this board can review and vote on. I think before this night's over, we should at least have some assurances that when that's going to happen. So,
The email that I got this afternoon from Shay is basically just talking about procedure. Procedure wasn't followed, so we can't do anything. And the procedure wasn't followed because of a calamity of errors. Vacations, heart attacks. The guy had a heart attack. I get that. But in between there was still plenty of time to get this done. This should have been done way before he went on vacation. I just don't understand. He takes the time. Stephen explains to me, well, I work for the town. I work for the town, Al. I have to report to Shay, and I work for the town. Well, is somebody asking any questions about, when I've done this in a lot of communities. And when I have to have peer review, generally, I submit 3 names, the town submits 3 names, we talk about it, we pick a peer review. There's a scope of services, and every scope of services I've ever signed, and I've signed a lot of them, there's a do not exceed. You can't have some engineer come in and say he'll do this for 2,000 and then ends up being 12. All these things are normally in place, but this is, we're going to use this guy, and we don't have any paperwork about it, but he's going to do whatever he wants for his life. I'm into $17,000 for peer review right now.
I'm uncomfortable with how long this is taken from a procedural perspective. I'm just saying that editorial wise to the board at large, I don't see anything that should have warranted.
Our last meeting, we said they had 24 hours to produce paperwork.
Right.
And he doesn't have it. That's wrong. 24 hours,
Yeah.
and that was a month ago. Or a
Yeah,
couple weeks ago,
and I think
whatever it was.
we scheduled to have our workshop.
It was supposed to be the last meeting.
Yeah, it was going to
Couldn't
be.
make that, didn't have
Right.
the information.
And the thing is, this guy's bleeding money. It's not his fault. We need to help him. I have no agenda here, just so you know, just so anybody wants to say anything, no agenda. The thing is, it's wrong. What we're doing here is wrong.
Well, let's cut the
Right.
crap here. We're not doing anything.
Right.
We haven't done a damn thing,
Correct.
okay? We require information to be before us.
Yep.
From the get-go, it wasn't. And then it's been a confluence of, poor Steve had a heart attack,
I
So
understand.
I don't want to get into the concept of no offense, Al, but poor Al.
Dan, I'm not-
It didn't happen the way you're kind of
I'm not-
describing.
All right, okay.
Well, I'm saying I had a full application
I-
February 4th.
That wasn't complete. You didn't have the abutters, so you just kicked
But
that
why-
thing going forward.
Why?
All right, let's,
No,
okay,
no,
let me,
I'm not
just,
saying it's
all
your
right.
fault.
One second,
don't
just,
get me wrong.
hey, one second.
I read
Both of you
everything. I
stop.
look at everything.
Dan,
I know you
Dan,
do.
Dan, please.
No, I know. I
that's
should
right.
have my say.
Dan.
Well, let me just put this forward. All right, are we in a position where where at least from an informal perspective, you have that we're saying that the issues that our consultant addressed, that they've been addressed?
Yes.
Okay. So if we were to say, our next planning board meeting, just like we did last time, with respect to, our workshop, if we were to, continue that with the idea that we're going to look at something that's coming from our consultant that memorializes these sorts of things, is that something that's amenable? At least in terms of, saying that the timeline, you felt that, it's gone longer than you thought. But at the same time, there's more to Dan's point, there's more analysis that can go into it, that, some of this stuff was unforced errers in terms of application.
Most of the stuff, yeah, I call it a calamity of errors.
Okay.
I'm not really blaming anybody,
Well,
but it's just,
And we'll use that as shorthand to say that
it's happened. Whatever's happened, happened. I just want to move forward. My question is, if I need to get to conditional approval, and that means that I can't record a plan or start a project unless this board receives information from peer review that the plan is ready to be recorded.
Right.
Now, this is all Phil Christensen, and unless some of the board has technical questions, I can answer them. But this is Steve Keach and my engineer, Phil Christensen. Let them do their thing. I said this last time. I'm going to be 6 months probably at AOT, and I'm going to be NHDES. So I don't understand why a conditional approval that with a clear peer review from Keach before I can record a plan or go forward. I can't do anything without that plan.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, we probably have people here that, for this hearing that are on point with respect to, a letter where it looks like that, reviewed the engineer's, outstanding items, and they pretty much handrailed, the concern that the engineer had. Right, but they don't have anything back from the engineer saying that these things are squared away. We've had, a survey, a petition that was put together, and I think, the petition, it talks about, the intersection in question, so I guess in terms of trying to balance, you as the applicant, and then also the concern of abutters and things like that, we need to sort of balance, wanting to move forward with you, but at the same time, you need to be fair to individuals that might have concerns. And I think I really would like to see, something that memorializes, the answers to those concerns.
Right.
So I think, what I'm going to propose is I'm going to ask, open it up to the public. Public's going to, come in. And then we'll talk about, what it is that we're going to do to, move forward with this as soon as we can. I'm going to kind of amplify. I do have concerns about the peer review process. I think it should be a little more robust, and it shouldn't be, a 0 point of failure, for this board.
I mean, I have dates. Everybody, I mean, you should have dates that have to be hit. And doesn't seem to be happening.
Again, I'm sympathetic
I know.
to that
I
time.
get it. I appreciate it.
All right. So with that said, is there anyone from the public here with respect to this application that wants to, comment or testify? And if you come up, just make sure you give your name and your address, and then
I'm the one who submitted the petition.
I need you to come up to the microphone so that it can be picked up.
Oh, I prepared a statement. May I read it?
I'd like you to give your name and your address, and then if you can speak into the microphone, one of the microphones, either there or you can sit at the up there.
No, I don't like to sit.
All right.
I'm Diana Huff. I'm a resident of Plasto, and what?
Your address, please.
I'm giving that, specifically 75 4th Street, and I've lived here since 2001. So I wrote this out. I do better when I write.
Yeah.
Traffic has always been an issue on 4th Street, but as many residents expressed to me while I was gathering signatures for the petition you now have, it's become much worse in the last few years. Cars, motorcycles, even fully loaded construction trucks and now e-bikes travel at high rates of speed. Many don't slow down or even move over to accommodate pedestrians. Residents have shared with me how they're cursed at or aggressively tailgated for driving too slow, with slow being defined as 30 miles per hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. Others have shared how they're afraid to walk on 4th Street because of the traffic. Many want to walk for exercise or for their children or with their children or grandchildren or ride bicycles but can't. More than a few are even afraid to cross the street to retrieve their mail. I personally walk my dog each day, and if you drive, I have a German Shepherd. You may see me, the black and tan German Shepherd. I walk with him each day, as do other 4th Street residents, plus residents in adjacent neighborhoods. The feeling of watching a vehicle speed toward you and you're standing on the edge of a very narrow shoulder of a curve is terrifying. Does the driver see you? Are they paying attention? When they get close enough, you see they're on their phone or they're reading it. Sometimes they swerve or they keep driving because it's you in the way and not them breaking the law by speeding. I spent 2 hours on Saturday, May 9th, walking both sides of Forest Street from Hoyt Farm Road to Harriman Road and back. I measured the shoulder width. I made note of the road conditions. I studied curves and noted the lack of signage or any traffic mitigation. Then I spent several days listening to people's stories about life on Forest Street, the speeding vehicles, and how they fear for their young children. People love living here, but they're incredibly frustrated with the non-action by the town management to listen to them and to change things. From what I could find searching, approximately 1,500 vehicles travel on Forest Street each day. Much of it is considered cut-through traffic. Adding 29 new residences will increase traffic by approximately 250 trips a day. That's 9.5 trips for each of the 3 single-family units and 8.5 trips by the 26 for the multifamilies. This additional traffic represents a 17% increase on a road that is already not equipped to handle the existing volume, let alone the significant increase. The 17% increase doesn't include the additional traffic in the form of visitors, delivery vehicles, Uber, DoorDashes, et cetera, and it doesn't include the 9 new residences going in on the State Route 108. Forest Street is incredibly dangerous. I can't stress this enough. It's dangerous to the people who live on it and to the people on adjacent streets who also use it for walking, running, et cetera. Something has to change. That's why I created the citizens petition, which asks simply that this planning board place a hold on approving the proposed 9-unit subdivision at Hoyt Farm Road. Instead, I and the 61 other people who signed the petition ask that this board reassess the traffic on Forest Street and develop traffic mitigation measures that will improve our safety and well-being. Thank you.
All right.
Any questions?
Just a comment. I think it's important to note that in terms of considering this application, we consider applications. Forest Street is a town road, and I don't think anyone's going to deny that Forest Street has, issues of speed. Everything you said is, everyone has a story that comports with that. But in terms of affecting or speaking to those issues, I think it falls in the purview of the Board of Selectmen, and then maybe by extension, the highway advisory.
Highway advisory and obviously the police to try to get out there.
Right. So if there was going to be concerns about like mitigation of speed or traffic control devices and things like that, like stop signs being installed or line of sights being mitigated, the Board of it would have to be with the Board of Selectmen in conjunction with police, highway advisory. And I'm not shuffling it off. It's just that that's not a planning board. We can exhort and say that we think that's something that should be done.
Your subdevelopment is starting here, so.
Right.
I wait for it's approved, and now I come back and say, by the way, this new traffic is going to impact us, but it's already been approved, so what do we do? There's no recourse then.
Well, in terms of recourse, I'm just saying if you're mitigating the things that you're talking about, the mitigation's not going to come from the planning board, unless the planning board just says no one can develop their property that uses Forest Hill Road.
Right. That's why I'm asking, and that's what the petition states, that you simply wait, just put a pause until these issues get rectified.
All right.
That's all.
Okay. Well, we could take it under, consideration, but what I'm saying is, in terms of, moving forward with, this application, but I'm just saying that in terms of actual, we need traffic devices on Forest Road, Board of Selectmen. We need line of sight remediation on Forest Hill because of dangerous curves. Because I think you showed some pictures, where you said this is a okay.
Thank you.
Dangerous curve, and again, it is a dangerous curve.
It's incredibly dangerous. Right.
But
The speed limit 25?
What's that?
The speed limit 25?
It's a speed, and people drive down 50, 60 miles an hour.
Unfortunately, everyone knows the speed limits is a suggestion.
Yeah, it's just.
Our house is right on that
All right, no one can hear you unless you're speaking
So all
into the
I'm
microphone.
asking
Yeah.
is that this process just pause until the traffic, you can't improve the subdivision with the street the way it is.
Okay.
All I'm asking, and that's what the petition is, and I was very clear with everyone who signed it, all we're asking is for a pause until the Forest Street traffic issue
Okay. All right,
is addressed. That's it.
fair enough.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that would like to?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else from the public?
I submitted a letter.
If you could, again, you're
And
free.
I don't need to read it because it's long. And I referenced the
Your name and your
Michelle
address.
Mangos. I live on 6 Hoy
Okay.
Farm Road. I submitted a letter. Everybody should have a copy with pictures. And my big thing is the safety when you're turning on Forest Street to Hoyt Farm Road, not Hoyt Farm Road onto Luke's Way. And I understand that that road was there prior to him attaching to it. But when they made it, it was for the 5 houses that were being built, and now we're adding another 29 houses. And the site coming down Forest Street, when you're turning onto Hoyt Farm Road, I took pictures, your site is off. And if people are going 50 down the street, they're not seeing, like there's been a lot of times I'm driving down the street and I have to, stop abruptly because somebody's coming and I can't see them. And then my other thing was that the water study, because I do think I have a 560 feet well, I only get 3 gallons a minute. And I would like some assurances that my well is not going to be affected with 29 families. Groundwater is groundwater to me.
No, fair enough.
That's my big thing.
Yeah, no, thank you. Does anyone from the board have questions for anyone that,
I just want to speak to, like you were saying before, these issues are Board of Selectmen issues when it comes to traffic on Forest. They have the ability in conjunction with the police department, they could make that a three-way, they can make that a three-way stop. You would have, if that's something that you would like to see happen.
well, just I'm going to ask if people, again, I don't want to have like some sort of running conversations on the side. If you want to speak, again, you have to come up, name, address, in that way. And then if you're going to have a dialogue, then I'll sort of moderate it.
So I'm not trying to be rude. I'm trying to give you the tools and the way to go about it. I'm just saying, like, if that's something you'd like to see there, you want to see a three-way stop that would slow traffic, you can bring these ideas to the Board of Selectmen because they're the ones that can actually implement these, these measures that you're looking for.
Right.
This is not a board. I understand that you can, and I'm sympathetic. I live in North Ave. I'm very sympathetic to what you're talking about. Unlike your street, where I'm a state road, they don't have jurisdiction. So they have jurisdiction, and they're the ones that are going to be able to implement that. So, like, I would say also be in contact with the Board of Selectmen with your concerns and anything that you would like to see on that street as of safety issues or things being implemented, because they're the ones that are going to do it.
Yeah, and what we'll do, and I am a member of the Board of Selectmen, we'll definitely take a look at this, speak with Highway, get their input, speak with police, get their input about the different traffic that's out there. We can certainly do that. And I'll certainly take that forward. The site is something totally different. That's not under the
If
Board
you
of
want to be captured on the mic, you just need to speak into a microphone. Otherwise, anyone watching is just going to see you standing up and not saying anything.
Diana Huff again, 75 4th Street. The problem is not fixing something now or putting up some signs. And I know North Ave because I see there's now nice big yellow signs that say 30 miles per hour, I think. They're high visibility. Sure, we could do that on 4th Street. The problem is we're adding more traffic to a street that can't even accommodate the traffic we have now. So why are we going forward with a subdivision before dealing with the problems we have right now? Why are we adding to them and then saying, well, you have to go through these official channels and have this department and that department and this department do all these different things, when can we just put a pause and then figure out what the plan is to move forward with rectifying these issues? And they are safety issues. They are safety issues. People live on this street. They're afraid to walk on the street. They live there.
Thank you.
I'd like to add something.
Yes.
I mean, the reason we do all this, the reason we sit up here and have to review site plans and subdivision plans is because we're charged with fundamentally overseeing or caring about the health, welfare, and safety of the people who live in this town. That's our charge. We don't have another charge. Practically, we look at site plans as a byproduct of that charge. So I punting it over to the Board of Selectmen. Yes, well, they have the authority to they supervise roads.
Right,
I think the responsibility for us is to flush out the safety issue.
Right.
And I think it's a real issue. I think the numbers warrant it. I think,
Respect the numbers, Dan. Could you take a second? 'Cause
Well,
you threw some heavy data.
Well, I'll tell you, in terms of
Go ahead.
New Hampshire DOT monitors forestry. There's traffic boxes, videos that monitor. One sits right at Johnson, right east of Johnson. Another one sits actually at Harriman, if you can believe it.
Right.
Another one sits at the beginning where Maine dumps onto Forest. So I mean these numbers, if you use the traffic engineer, and this should be no surprise to anyone, I've been on this traffic thing on this project for a little bit, is, you're looking at this particular project generating another 210 average daily trips, so that's per day, based on these kind of empirical traffic studies. Is how that translates to peak hour activity is relatively small, okay? So peak is usually generally between the hours of 7 and 9 and 4 and 6 in the afternoon. But in terms of the overall impact on Forest Street, it's not quite 17%, but it's 16%, It's real, and that's material. And how we look at that and what this does to Forest Street, I think warrants some discussion amongst this board and some evaluation, And if it means a strong encouragement to the Board of Selectmen, so be it. The flip side is, we've got an applicant here that owns property. He's trying to develop the property, which he has every right to do. And forget about the just process faux pas, if you will. But, we've got a real issue here, I think, as to safety. And it's your project is kind of contributing to it, but it's not the cause of it. Okay. But it has to be addressed. And, one of the things when Phil was here, he was talking about doing an intersection study and perhaps line of sight, as it relates to Forest Street. That probably could be helpful, to help us get a real good idea of, can we mitigate any safety concerns?
Yeah.
I mean, my feeling is I don't really.
Let me ask a question there. You mentioned something, with respect to a line of sight study or whatever. Does that have to be done? I mean, does it have to be contingent upon moving forward for the application, or it can be done concurrently? Because Forest Street has other. This intersection, Hoyt and whatever, and Forest is.
Hoyt Farm Road's already there.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
Right, so
Already there.
And again, I will tell you, is traveling 25 miles an hour, okay, and you're making a left-hand turn, you need 280 feet line of sight. That's what you need. That's from the traffic engineers get.
But it didn't become unsafe when this application
No,
was
no,
submitted.
but it's, we can only deal with what we see in front of us. We can't go back and figure out, should they have done something before? Should this have been addressed before?
Right.
I can only deal with what's in front of me now.
Right.
And again, I put it in the context. I'm not blaming the applicant. It's not their fault. And in a fair, if we were applying a fairness doctrine, it's not necessarily fair either. So I am sensitive to that. But I think there needs to be, we need to get our hands around the safety thing,
This board is charged with like master plan development, and one of the aspects of the master plan is, been like Main Street and traffic calming, right? And also roads and such. This board can sort of advocate, separately, for Forest Street as being problematic and something that needs to be addressed. The intersection, if the intersection can be improved, it should be improved. But to say that like an application would be held up while people move forward to put signs in, to mitigate that's not something that happens like in a week. All right. So, and I don't think that's fair to somebody that wants to develop their property.
And I will tell you, I have some safety concerns. I'd like to flush this out. I'm not prepared personally to stop someone from using their private property, to try and fix a problem that I can't fix as a member of the planning board.
Fair enough.
I can't, if I could, we'd fix it. Tell you to put a couple of stop signs and we'd move on.
Something I would do, could do, I'd fix it.
I wish I could.
It's something we'll have to sit down with the highway board, the highway department,
The police.
police. And those are things, if it makes sense for the town to put signs up, it's a stop sign, right? A couple stop signs.
Yeah.
If that seems like that might be the solution, but everyone else has to get on board with it in town, but we can at least start talking to people on it. That's not an issue. We can start.
Shouldn't
that
we
right
have
away.
their town engineer here one of these days?
Yeah, that's what we need.
That's really an issue.
Well, I
He should
think
be
we
Or
did that.
somebody from the board should be here.
No,
We're holding this guy up
we did.
because of our engineer,
Right. I also did request to have
and
the
he's
highway
not here.
department. Yeah.
Nobody's here.
So, so if it is a priority and it is a priority for an applicant and residents, then, it can become a priority for this board, which means that people from the highway department need to come in. They need to come in.
They need to be here.
Police department wants to come and speak to the issue. This board is more than willing to have the police department here. And again, members of the public that live on Forest Hills, the planning board isn't just charged with applications. You feel free to remind us about, what's happening on Forest Street. So is there anyone else from the public that would like to comment with respect to this application? Okay.
Just for the highway superintendent, the police department, and the fire department have all commented on this particular application.
Yeah, and they signed off on it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think,
They were pretty specific as to the application.
no, I'm not talking, but I don't believe Dan signed off on it. I thought he still had some.
Dan submitted questions to me, concerns, 3 of them, and I addressed them in the current plan.
Okay. 'Cause I don't see it.
And Dan, I don't believe has seen that. I think when he sees that, he's going to be, that's more what he was looking for, and that's what Steve was looking for on the 12th at our meeting at the 12th.
So Shay, what is, we obviously, we have different audiences here. We have an applicant, we have abutters, and then also, we have this board. I mean, I really want to see some sort of final, formal resolution as to this application. I don't necessarily think I want to wait until the next hearing, have
We're
it.
going to have to.
But I also don't want to, well, no, we could do it on our workshop, our next meeting, 2 weeks from now. Is it 2 weeks from now, right?
It's the 8th.
The 8th? So,
It's the 8th,
Not
right?
gonna give time, enough time.
The 9th, whatever, 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever, it's the second
It's in
one.
there.
They have to have.
So-
It's in
First
there.
Wednesday.
I mean, is that, if we're going to split the difference and, and I guess as a chair of the board, I'm going to say that what I don't want to see is I don't want to see email traffic, sort of resolving these issues, like 2 days before the meeting.
No.
Okay. I mean, I think as an applicant,
Will that
I mean,
give enough time?
if we're going to turn it around and you're going to turn it around, you shouldn't be waiting. At least this board shouldn't be waiting like 2 days before getting something formally done.
The question is, where are we on the clock?
Well, that's the other part. If that's what we're going to do, then we're going to have to ask you to grant us an extension. Otherwise, what ends up happening is that, we'd have to vote on it. Go from there, probably.
Well, I'm almost willing to take my chances at this point, but I think I'll extend into your next workshop. If you guys can do that, I appreciate it, and try and get it resolved there,
Okay, I think, from a board's perspective, I think, again, from the administrative part of it, I mean, this should be a priority. You know what I'm saying? If there's anything I can do to help clear up any misunderstandings or anything like that, with respect to procedures and things like that, I feel free to,
Well, I was gonna, I guess I'll talk to Stephen about it, but,
okay.
for the paper copies, he owns an engineering firm that he sits at every day. You don't have
Yeah.
a printer there, you can print yourself a copy.
I think we can address that like on the side issue. Maybe, we'll just,
Up to his
yeah.
office 17 times in the last 3 months.
all right. Yeah, I think
That would be
that's,
helpful for you, Richard, if you could take care of that for me.
well, I think it falls under peer review. I mean, what we need to do to, we're not here to like make it, applicants, do
And
gratuitous
listen,
things.
Dan's right. The guy had a heart attack.
Well, like I said, this, I mean, without going through it, there was a series of,
Yeah, there was a series, we probably could have had this resolved.
yes,
prior-
but I mean, it
prior to-
wasn't one-sided, so
Yeah.
But they have redesigned it to what Keach wants.
I'd like to see something from our consultant saying, yes, it has been.
He should be part of it.
Give
He
him
should be
conditional
part of it.
approval. Give him a conditional approval. This is ridiculous. This has been going on for fucking months. It's ridiculous. So, sorry, my mouth. Jeez, sir.
We'll edit that.
Sorry. But it's the conditional approval. Just give it to him. Give it to him.
Well-
What do we get to lose? You always take it back. Done.
You don't-
If it's
you
not,
don't-
if it's not done, it's not done.
You don't have to take it back. I can't do anything
No, you can't.
unless Steve signs off.
Correct. Correct.
So that's why I kind of think
This has been going on too long. There's no,
not gonna
it's
do
not
that
just here.
conditional.
It's not just. It's not right. I'm sorry.
well, it's not, and the point is that.
It's going to take you another 6 months to a year to get
Rich
it
is
done.
right, but
I'm going to say,
asking for it because I want to skirt anything.
I know, but I'll probably say that if someone were to make a motion to that effect, I mean.
Motion for conditional approval.
No.
If someone were to make a motion to that effect, I would probably say that I'm going to argue against it. I'll vote no for the reasons I've already stated. Because, it's just, there are different audiences here. We have abutters, we have an applicant. And, I think, that's the perspective I'm coming from. And
From what
I
I've
think
seen-
I'd be a hard no
From
on
what
it.
I've seen, he's there. And we always have the right to say, to not to sign it.
Oh, there's a motion on the floor, right?
Yep.
Is there a
Second?
second?
Motion to give.
Yes. There's no reason not to do this. Move it forward.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second? If there isn't a second, then the motion doesn't move forward.
I'll second it just for discussion,
All right, okay.
just so we can discuss it, so it's out.
All right, so there's a second. So
Thank you.
discussion on
I
the
guess the biggest thing we're waiting for, correct me if I'm wrong, everyone's probably got a different opinion, is to get the letter from Steve Keach. Correct? Is that the biggest thing?
Well, that's one thing.
I'm trying to
Everything-
flesh out what we need,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I think that's one thing.
April 29th letter is where we're at, okay? And we don't have anything back from our engineering consultant speaking to each one of those items.
We haven't talked with him. He's not,
But I think if we're
nobody's appeared.
gonna send Al away, I think we should have a list of exactly what we're gonna look for. And I think that's fair.
Well, it's the April 29th is the latest, is the latest in terms of where we're at. And we don't have anything formally back from,
That's the latest formal review that we have from the
okay.
So what exactly are we waiting for from Steve or for anyone?
for him to get a physical copy of the updated plan set that shows this new road alignment as
And
well.
I'd like to see
So that
Keach.
he can comment, he can look at all those issues that were previously addressed and comment on whether or not those have been addressed and whether specifically this road alignment works and if there are any other issues.
So as far as we know, does Steve have everything that he needs from Al
What is he
To make
saying
his-
this for?
determination?
He needs a
You're not the
physical
board.
printed copy, full and complete.
That's what he needs. That's what Steve needs. That's the missing piece.
Correct.
That reflects all the things that Phil sent in his letter, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Which would include this updated road alignment
You know that, right?
that was included today.
And what do we have to do to get that physical copy to Steve in his office?
It's typically on the applicant to get the copy over to the engineer.
And that's the only way they accept it, is someone actually has to physically walk in there and hand it to him?
That's my understanding.
Again, it's an engineering office. I know every engineering office I know has a full-size printer there.
Okay, I'm just saying that there are approximately, there's 19 items here on this list, okay? I feel uncomfortable
Well,
saying conditional approval.
Right.
What does that look like? We're going to give you conditional approval
Here's the response.
for all 19.
Listen, I'll just concede, and we'll go to the next workshop in 2 weeks. And if Phil can make some sort of list to make sure we expedite this, I'd be very pleased with that.
All right, so that's the discussion part. Are we voting on this or?
Well, we have to vote on it.
Yeah, or you could retract.
retract.
Retract your
Retract it.
motion, your second.
Not retract anything.
You're not?
Yeah,
No.
all
All
right.
right.
So it makes no sense for me to retract
All
that.
Oh, this is
All in
going on too
favor?
long. It's going on too long.
All in favor for issue?
This is incomplete, because what is the condition?
Right.
Exactly. What is the conditional approval that you're asking?
What are we approving?
He's got all the paperwork. It's
No,
literally a paper
we don't have
trail
all of
between Steve
Right.
Keach and him.
Hold on, Rich.
You have to frame it in your motion.
Generally, what you would have to do is would have to be conditioned upon NHDES approval and AOT approval. That's the conditions that are usually placed on the, and peer review approval. So it'd be 3 conditions.
Just trying to move this forward. So,
It's not right yet.
No, I get that, but I
I'm
think the
not
problem is
comfortable
what
with
we physically need to see. That's the biggest
paperwork.
thing.
Yeah, I don't think,
Unfortunate.
you could phrase it as just, I want to give you conditional
I
approval.
understand. I
You're
understand.
not. It'd be a little more robust than
I
that.
understand.
And we have a number of waivers then that we're going to have to consider. I just think there's no way that you can responsibly square, just saying, giving some sort of conditional approval on it.
All right, I think we're there. I'll retract my second.
I'll retract also.
Okay.
Just make it simple.
Okay, thank you. Shay, you're going to grant us the extension, what do you need from, what do you need from the applicant for that? Is it just verbally enough that you're going to grant us the extension, he's going to send us something? Okay,
So the workshop meeting would be on June 3rd. That's the first Wednesday in June.
okay.
So Phil Christensen, this this sketch that you guys see up there,
Really?
that changes road profiles, grading, it makes the road a little longer. There's 15 or 16 of the 25-page plan that has to be touched. So I'll need,
So whatever's going to come back
2 or
from,
3 days.
whatever's going to come back from the end, our consultant, if we're going to have the meeting,
Sure.
I'm expecting it, that these things are going to be resolved or addressed and that it isn't going to be open-ended. All right, because if we're having a discussion of open-ended things, then,
What I'd also like too is if we can request Steve or someone from his office to be here.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
that's fair at this point.
yeah, that's definitely.
Exactly.
That way there, we've got everyone in the room.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Just finish it.
All right, so.
Just finish it.
So I move to extend the 65-day timeline for the application for lot consolidation, lot line adjustment, and 12-lot PRD subdivision as noted in the Planning Board Matter 2605 to June 17, 2020. Well, it's June 1, not 17. To June 3rd, 2026. The board continues the public hearing to the public meeting on that date beginning at 6:30 PM. This is the official notice of the continuance, and there'll be no additional written notice provided. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion on it?
Okay, so I want to let the board know that on the 25th, I will submit this revised plan and all of its changes, and a plan that represents this current list that I have from Steve. So and I'll drive the copies wherever I
Yeah,
have.
sooner than better, so that we're not sort of cramping. I mean, if we have this much time, let's front load it.
The 25th is Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
Right.
Go 26th.
Well, I have to talk to Phil. He'll,
You might have to move it to the next meeting in June.
Can't you load that PDF? I mean, you have to physically bring the paper?
Karen, I think let's at
Day and
least put
age.
it on for the 3rd, then if
Insane.
then if it happens, at least it's there.
It's insane.
I think Lee should be here, so we'll see. Okay.
so let me look at my calendar. Maybe it might be possible for Phil to do it on Friday. And I know City Hall's closed, but I can email Shay and I can drop something off in the mailbox, and maybe I can get those plans to Stephen, the hard copies, maybe in 2 days, maybe by Friday. I'll try.
Oh, all right.
It's just a lot of,
Again, this is just a lot of things that we don't have sort of final, sign off on, and I don't think it doesn't make me feel comfortable just sort of doing that.
Everyone else
All
will.
right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 5-0-0. All right. Thank you.
thanks again, guys.
So this meeting will, again, be continued to June 3rd. And that's the formal notification for that continuance.
And so, what will be the procedure for working with the other departments in terms of traffic?
Yeah, what we'll do is myself and Liz will take it up to the town manager, to the other selectmen. We'll discuss it, and we'll start a conversation with Highway, the Highway Advisory Committee, police, to see if there's anything we can do to try to slow things down
If
there.
you need any input from me or anyone else, please let me know.
Absolutely.
Okay,
What date will that
I
be?
have more, I took measurements and everything. I
Okay.
more than
We have
enough
to send
data
it
for
to
you.
Rick.
Okay, I know Danny knows the road pretty
Will it
good.
be
He's
till
highway, he
June 3rd?
plows it every winter.
All right. Thank you. All right. All right, next on the agenda, conceptual consultation for King Weinstein, Water Street Retail LLC, 3 Main Street, tax map 24, lot 41. Take it up there. Yeah, it's not too much of a hot seat.
Hopefully it's going off.
Might be a little radioactive right now. Yeah. Just your name, your address, and then go from there.
King Weinstein, 3 Main Street. I just had a request relative to build.
Yeah, which one is this?
It's gonna be right here.
3 Main Street.
Yeah, just move, if you just move the mic a little bit closer, just so they pick it up. That's
3
all.
Main
Thank you.
Street.
Who's the applicant? So many of them here. I have no idea where they all are.
It's your show here.
Okay, it's an existing building built in 1920. It's been there 106 years approximately, on a grandfathered lot of record. It used to be owned by Wayne Kuchar. And it's currently a 2-family, 2 apartments. And he had a little real estate office in there. And the electrical's out of code, so I was going to change the electrical, and the building inspector suggested there was no site plan on record, that I have a site plan approval for that. But I don't think it's required, and I think it's specifically waived as grandfathered use. It's a duplex is a permitted use by right there, a 2-family, and an office, although I don't really care about the small office, is a permitted use by right as defined in the zoning ordinance. But I think you want to cover the basis to make sure no planning approval was needed.
So
We're proposing no changes to the parking lot or the entrance, no changes to the building, no changes.
the intent is to keep it as a duplex.
Yes,
And what's the mixed use that existed there? Was it real estate office?
yeah, he had like 1-room real estate office there.
So that's not going to exist.
I could either keep it as a 1-room office or probably make it a bedroom for an apartment. I don't know if the board didn't want a small office.
And right now you have roughly, it's a non-conforming lot because it doesn't have sufficient frontage, correct?
Correct.
So a duplex is 200 feet, I believe, in C2. Is that true, Shay?
I believe that the restriction requiring additional square footage, additional frontage for a duplex is no longer in the regulation. So I believe
Okay.
you only need 150.
It used to be, yeah, all right.
Correct.
So.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Shay.
I believe it's 150
Okay.
frontage.
So it's sitting at 150, so we've got a non-conforming lot. There's no planned increase in the lot coverage or the size of the building.
No change of anything.
So non-conformity can increase by up to 20%.
I saw that.
So we don't really have that issue here. You're not intending to expand the non-conforming use.
No change. Just
Or the non-conforming lot, excuse me, the use is permitted.
yes.
Yep. Has the lot been occupied continuously? Is it occupied now?
The residences?
Yeah.
No, they haven't been.
Okay. How long have they not been occupied?
Probably like 6 years.
Okay.
But we kept them as residences. We just chose not to rent them. So they're still the same inside. They never took out the appliances. Everything's still in there. Kitchen cabinets, bathrooms.
Yeah, it hasn't been
everything's-
touched in years.
What?
It hasn't been touched in years.
No, since Wayne. We bought it from him in
Yep.
2000, maybe
Yep.
One of the
18, I think.
One of the challenges is to the extent you had any nonconformity, it's been abandoned.
Well, actually, it hasn't.
Okay.
It says under the state statute and the zoning ordinance, you have to have the intent to abandon it, and you have to do something physically to abandon it, which would be if we tore it down, or if we changed it to a mini storage, or we made the inside to all office, we'd lose it.
Okay, can you read me in 16 in the abandonment?
Yeah, I got it.
I think it's down, it's the last part of,
Yeah, I got it here.
Voluntary discontinuance of a non-conforming use or occupancy of a non-conforming structure shall be considered the abandonment of such use or structure. And it goes on, but that looks like it's specifically about uses and structures. Section 220-117.8.
It has to be the intention of the owner to discontinue it or removal of characteristic equipment or furnishing used in the performance of any.
There's like 3 or 4 criteria though, right?
Just 2, A and B. B would be the replacement of any non-conforming use by a conforming use.
Okay.
There's only 2, A and B. State statute, there's actually a court case with a paving company, and they stopped using their paving lot and they store equipment, but the town, whichever town it was, says it's still there, even though you didn't use it because you didn't change the use or intend to not use it.
Right.
What happened, we had another use proposal. I intentionally left it residence in case we never got the other use,
Yep. No,
which is what
just-
happened. And-
Yeah, I thought there was a zoning change on that a few years ago.
Yeah.
That and the property next to it, the red one.
Yeah, it was actually commercial.
Correct.
And
Commercial,
you could
right.
build, we had a auto parts store that wanted to go in there, and they were 7,000 square feet. Now the zoning change, retail can only be 2,000 square feet. And I think at the time, the city manager was Mark Pearson or the predecessor.
Yep, could have been Mark.
Yeah, they wanted to close Main Street over there and deed the property over to prevent truck
yeah,
traffic
yeah.
from coming up
Right.
Main Street. And I think that's why they put the cut across, and
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on over there.
yeah, they wanted to sell that with
That's
the
an interesting
Merrimack-
idea.
Merrimack Mortgage to give them the land to do whatever they wanted to with it. But I don't think that ever moved ahead, obviously. They did do the traffic light turn.
They did do
It
that.
actually works pretty well, I think. But both uses are, well, I don't really care about the office, are permitted by right uses there, and we're not changing anything. Other than the electric, and inside will be cleaned and painted, and outside will be maintained versus what it's been, unfortunately.
I mean, when I first looked at this, I mean, it's a duplex. It's generally not multifamily, you know?
Yeah.
Why are we even coming? Typically, the planning board's not looking at, you know, duplexes.
Duplexes.
Those are residential uses. They're not, you know, is there something I'm missing?
I think because it was 3 units, they thought it would need to get approval here, and they had a preponderance of conservatism to start doing it. But the 3rd unit is an office, not a residence.
Third unit could be an ADU.
But is it an,
I guess it could possibly be, I don't
is
know.
it an office? It's an office, if you will. It's a single room, right?
Yeah, it's just a room, and there was a bathroom.
Yeah.
So that's-
Yeah, no.
It could be a home office,
Right.
which, you know, really,
Yeah, that's allowed
Correct.
use, I
you
think.
know, which really isn't, again,
What
it's not
was
a
the-
residential use.
Was there any granularity to the
Yeah,
concern?
so I had a couple different conversations with the applicant prior to them coming in, and they were looking at a couple different of uses on the property. The purpose/description of proposed plan written on the application says verify existing 2-unit plus office can be 3 units of residential dwellings. And so once we bump up to 3 residential dwellings, then we're looking at multifamily, which requires planning board review.
Correct,
Yeah.
but that's not.
Yeah, that's all he's doing here.
Yeah, so I mean, that's
I
the,
inquired
that's
if it
the,
could be.
yeah,
That's-
that's the distinction then.
Right.
If you're going to come before the planning board, then you got 3 units, you know, you'll be before us.
Yeah, if this is gonna be 3 units, you're back before us. If this is
No.
a true duplex,
Yep.
then
Good to go.
you're at the building department.
All right. I'll give you hopefully an easy one. Thank you very
All
much.
right,
Yo.
okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go for a quick one.
Doing something with that share hall.
All right.
I'm gonna be doing something too.
Next on the agenda.
We've only got 3 left, right? Dago
Right, we have
Electric.
a conceptual consultation for Lynn Kellerman and
Yep.
Kevin McCleary, 26 Chandler Ave, tax map 25, block 30, lot 1. So, name and address, and then it's your show.
Kevin McCurley, 149 Plastow Road.
Lynn Kellerman, 14 Monarch Street, 14 Monarch Way, Kingston, New Hampshire.
All right, let us know, what are you looking to do?
I own 2 units on 26 Chandler Ave. Lynn owns 1 unit. Collectively, it's 1 building. I'm the condo president for the 26 Chandler Ave condominiums. There are 15 units there. My 2 properties and Lynn's properties are commercial, like office building. Like it used to be residence, and then it was like office work. And so back in 92, I think they went from residential to commercial for like office space. And in that other unit are 12 more units, which are all residential condominiums. So collectively, those 2 buildings constitute 26 Chandler Ave. Basically, we'd like to just have the 3 units put back to residential because they really serve zero purpose as office space. And it originally was, residential, and it's very, very obvious. And so we would just like to formally change that back to residential. No changes as far as footprint, anything. We're just trying to get just the use changed.
Was there any, Shay, was there any particular issue with just moving from, just a change of use and not changing any of the footprint or anything like that?
So the thing we're looking at here is that we're in the MDR district, which doesn't allow just multifamily development unless it's through a PRD. And so we'd be looking at an expansion or a change in a non-conforming use on the property, which might require a special exception.
Well, the extent then it's a math problem, or a math solution is so you're allowed by right up to a 20% expansion of nonconformity, whether it's use, lot, building size. So there's in the zoning ordinance, there's specific tangible measures, building coverage, lot coverage. That if nothing is really changing in the sense of, it seems to me you might be making it under the 20%, or 20% or under, where you wouldn't then have to go in front of the ZBA for a special exception. Given what you plan to do, I suspect the special exception, if you had to go that way, wouldn't be that big of a deal. But that's kind of where you are, or it should, put it this way, in my opinion, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But so it's not based on units, even though you would think, okay, I got 15 units, if you will, and 20% of 15 is 3, so you should make it, but it's got specific calculable numbers based on building footprint, building size, building coverage, all of that. Shay, if you've got the ordinance, you can kind of give them a.
Yeah, it talks about substantial expansion or alteration. One of them is talking about gross floor area associated with a non-conforming use of either a non-conforming structure or a conforming structure containing a non-conforming use is expanded by more than 20% from the calculated gross floor area in existence.
So you should be able to pull those numbers and figure that out pretty quick.
You understand?
20% or less of the overall.
20% or more would kick you into a special.
Yeah,
so
but
you have
20%.
Up to 20%, you have that by right.
Yep.
So you would have to look at that and determine that number. I don't have your data in front of me. I'd be happy to help you, but that's really what you're looking to expand a non-conforming use. Even though you're converting what's already there, it's the use that's driving the bus here. Because multifamily is not permitted in the MDR other than in a PRD. And this wasn't a PRD.
I'll try to act like I fully understand what you're saying.
Well, but
No, it is. It's hard. No, it is. It's hard to do.
It's a math issue for you guys. From just a member of the planning board, I have no problem with this. It's just compliance with the zoning ordinance. And if it didn't work, that it was greater than 20%, then there is a process of a special exception, which then you would have to go in front of the zoning board of adjustment.
Yeah, so it's two-parter.
Yeah.
One, that if you fall within the 20% by right, you're fine.
We're talking about square footage, space.
Not much.
Is it square footage?
Yeah, it's
Okay, so,
building square footage. There's 4 or 5. The ordinance was designed to give people wiggle room and create a way that you could expand your non-conforming use.
The combined 3 units is actually quite small. It's like apartment-y. If you looked at them, each have one bathroom with a shower thing and like one bedroom. So it doesn't have a lot of space. So I think we would fall within those parameters. I think so. I can go and navigate my way around looking at the square footage. And I just will, because we have 12 units of just, condos, and that is a much larger designated space compared to this. This is kind of like the outlier of the property. It's very not great in many different ways as far as, residents or whatnot.
Yeah, but I mean, people see it the way they want to, but I see this as really the ask here is from the planning board is, what do you think about our expansion of a non-conforming use? And my thing is, that's fine. And if you would file, is there a site plan on file for this?
Yes.
Okay. So you would probably file an amended site plan, pretty brief, since you're not really doing anything on the site, to convert the units.
Back to what it was.
Back to residential.
Revert.
so Shay, you'd be handling that, and if he was outside of the 20%, you'd probably say he's outside of the 20%.
Yeah, it's going to be on the applicant to provide those calculations when you
Correct.
submit your application. But yes, I will look at it when it comes through.
Just the building right behind the old bank or the second one over?
No, right behind the old bank, that lower green one, that's another condo thing. It's up, the brick one.
The brick one.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
up.
If you'd be going up the driveway, just that
It's not
brick
that
building
I
right
know the
there with
building.
the 2 garage doors.
I absolutely know the building. Yep. I just wasn't sure which one it was.
Yep. No, the green one was not
Yeah.
that one.
No, not the green ones.
Yeah, these are as
The next one over.
small as you represent.
Way
You
up.
should be able to meet that criteria.
Yeah, it
Yep.
sounds like that's a no-brainer.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm good at no-brainers, so.
So no tarantulas or
But actually
water.
there's still some,
in the basement?
there's still some stuff there,
Oh,
but
my God.
ultimately, I'm
Giant
just,
alligators hiding in the
I have a giant alligator that winters there.
Still?
But with
Okay.
every Wally's there
Oh,
every
God.
winter.
Terrible.
Wally's in his.
Wally's got his own, she's got her own little room. And,
Good.
home defense by alligator.
She's very friendly.
yeah, she's
They
great.
all are
Well, I'm
until
sure
they
they
eat
are until they're hungry.
No.
Forgot about the alligator.
That's just basically starting to reel it in and downsize, and it's been sitting of poor use for a long time. But for a long time, we had non-potable water. We had the PFAS problem, so you could shower in the water, but it wasn't potable, it wasn't drinkable. And myself keeping a large number of my animals there at the time, it served no purpose, and I had to actually leave. So it served very little purpose to me, and it's just like I just got to get out of it because I have to in this climate and stuff like that with the economy. It's just terrible.
Yeah. That's
All
all
right.
right.
It's water and sewer. I think, was it 2022? that
Yeah, a
we
couple
got
years-
into Municipal water supply, not
It's
the
like-
well anymore?
Maybe 3 years ago, we now have municipal water. And so we actually have water that's actually, potable
Excellent.
and chlorinated
Good.
with no PFAS in it. And not being checked every month by, the state and DES and having to do water sampling and all that, which was just a grind.
All right. Cool beans. Anything else we can help you with?
Perfect.
No. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Right. Awesome.
Have a good night.
I forgot about the
Still
alligator.
doing jujitsu?
At the moment, no. After my inguinal hernia, that.
Wasn't my fault.
Yeah. You missed the pad, but anyways, no, I've been spending a lot of time in India. I consult to like a giant zoo rescue in India.
Awesome.
Oh, neat.
Years, so
Good for
Oh,
you.
that's awesome. Oh, good.
thank
All
you.
right. See you later.
Oh, he's awesome.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have a conceptual consultation for Judith
I like
Ryan,
those.
12 East Pine Street, tax map 38, lot 124. Come on down. Hello.
Patience waiting for us, huh?
Mine should be easy after all those. Hopefully. I just want to subdivide my lot and do a little land swap with my neighbor so I can have frontage coincidentally on Forest Street.
Forest Street. Good, here we
Never
go.
heard of it.
No, got nothing.
Do you guys have the thing that I wrote? Because I
This right here?
printed it out, yeah. And then this was the map. I just drew it in. I haven't had an engineer or
Is this
anybody
the one right
do a
here?
formal plan yet. The property was previously subdivided in 1989, if you guys want to see the copy of that. But it was on the East Pine Street side. But I put it back together because it was kind of ridiculous to have a driveway that long to get to the back lot.
Okay.
If you guys want a copy, I have them.
I'll take a look at that.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I've got a bunch.
All right. Okay.
Oh, good. I'll take them. Thank you.
That was the previous
Okay.
subdivision. But it was on East Pine. The access would have been on East Pine.
Gotcha.
And there was a variance for the frontage. Anybody else want one? You get- Okay.
So,
So I'm just here to see if there's anything I should know about before I move forward with the actual plans, like the setback issue off of Forest Street, or if it's a hard no. Or, if you guys have any suggestions on how to facilitate it and expedite it.
so I think the only issue that we're kind of looking at here topically is what?
Frontage.
Maybe like one of them would only have 50 feet of frontage?
Right, the back lot would have 50
Okay.
feet. And is the 50 feet necessary, or can you just have a driveway easement? I mean, is there a setback amount?
Typically, lots have to have front, rear, side,
side.
to be a lot. So the easement necessarily might not get you a
Okay.
lot. One of the things interesting here is you're looking at this as a subdivision, because on the surface, it would be easy to say, just go get you probably have to go get a variance, for a frontage. But under the RSAs, the planning board has the authority to waive frontage in some cases, Typically, you see that in the waiver requirements in the subdivision regulations, And our waiver requirements are somewhat broad, To me, this might be one of those kind of textbook cases where, provided certain conditions are met, like like your abutters don't have a problem with it, where that would start to force you, if there was some discontent here, that might start to force you to the ZBA. But in
Looks like agreement.
in personal, I mean, I thought about this and I was like saying, this seems to be a fairly innocuous thing. It allows a lot to be developed that otherwise probably wouldn't. And
Well, a lot of other properties in the neighborhood have less than 100, way less frontage. I have a larger map that shows all the other frontage.
That's
Some of them
true.
are
That's
70, 50.
yeah, that's true throughout Plastow.
Oh, I know.
It's
Believe me, I've lived here for 60 years.
yeah, no, I
Agree, right.
I think the use of the lot, I'm not, personally, I'm, the 50 feet certainly large enough to get, a driveway in without, and
So you're saying that you could waive the frontage requirement?
well, I'm not committing.
Well,
I'm just
I
saying,
understand, but you're just throwing that
This is a
out.
conceptual consultation.
You're just throwing that out as an idea.
Yeah, I'm just saying there is specific authority for the planning board to waive something, and frontage has been mentioned in some of the language I've seen in other in other reviews of subdivision plans. But
So how would I pursue that? What would I need to do to?
I think, we would have to probably think about this,
Yes.
in terms of, I mean, the purpose of these consultations is to kind of think out loud.
Yeah.
And I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, the area of the original lot is more than big enough for 2 house lots.
Yeah.
Just the configuration is kind of.
Yeah, if this was where, we were talking about, a bunch of things to make it work, I think you're in front of the ZBA.
Right.
That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, no.
I think if we're only dealing with frontage,
Well,
for
the neighbors
subdivided
on
lot-
both sides I've talked to, and they both agreed. They said they'd sign a, notarized statement or whatever needed to be done to allow it.
I think we just have to look and see what the mechanism is for
yeah, I'd
that.
like to-
Because I'm unclear as to,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you're what? Not clear?
I'm just unclear as to what the
Which way to
mechanism,
go.
I mean, whether or not, well, no, what the mechanism would be for waiving that.
Okay.
So,
well, it'd be just like we do other waivers, as
Right.
part of the subdivision approval, And, quite frankly, it might be worth a phone call to just.
That's the other thing, maybe a
counsel to
legal
say,
something.
hey, we got this in front of us. We understand we can do these, is there
Should we
something?
do that or go to the
Yeah.
ZBA?
Because it's not specifically in our waiver in the subdivision regulations, although it does give us broad authority to waive things. And God knows we certainly have.
Yeah, that's right.
So
all right,
That's for sure.
that might be worth
so why
a
don't
little
you
research.
give us some, we'll communicate back with you.
Okay, that sounds
It's
good.
just to see if we can come
Okay.
up with some way.
Yeah, I
make it
wanted to
work.
get an idea of what I actually was required of me before I, had the perk test and the engineers and all
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just probably have to just refine what, what that procedure would be for us to do that.
Ask
Okay.
the,
And
Because
if
I know-
it's something that's within our scope to do.
Okay, because Shay gave me all the information, but I was still a little confused about, first it goes to the planning board, then it goes to the state, then it comes back to the planning board, it goes to the ZBA, and it goes to and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, but it specifically relates to the 50 feet. I mean,
The
is that-
frontage
Yeah,
The
the
frontage.
frontage.
and setbacks.
Yeah.
It's just flat, and it's just like a field and some trees. It's easy access. There's nothing there. It's kind of dead space.
So I think we should research that, see if that's within our wheelhouse or purview. And then we should probably communicate
Okay.
back to you that
All right.
this is what.
So wait
how we-
until then to hear back. What would the time frame on that be? Not to pressure anybody.
No, we just have to decide how, if it requires, if we can look at it in-house. If not, if we want to bounce it off legal, I guess we can. So,
So I'll
right.
just shoot
Is
you
that-
an email and you can get back to me.
does that sound-
We can do that right away. I mean,
right.
Right.
yeah.
I mean,
That
like
right.
tomorrow.
All right.
Otherwise, then you're in front, then you would have to make an application to the ZBA.
Right.
Yeah.
With the plan, the formal plan and all that.
Well,
I think it's,
Whatever
their
needs to be.
criteria is, I think a drawing, but it doesn't have to be,
Okay.
like a full plan.
Okay.
What's this?
So you're saying if I can't get, if the frontage requirement isn't waived,
If,
then I have to do what?
if we can't keep it in front of the planning board,
Uh-huh.
and that, that we could waive it, in which, this is, again, this is a conceptual discussion. I'm not saying we're
Yeah,
waiving it.
yeah,
now.
no, I understand.
But I could see us, or I could see me getting there is if we can't do it because, we don't have the authority, the specific authority
Mhm.
within our subdivision plans, then you would have to make an application to the ZBA
Okay.
for a variance
All right.
from the frontage requirement
Okay.
on Forest Street.
Okay. And I would do that before I do anything.
You would do that before anything, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we'll be in
Jay's
touch.
also the,
Yeah,
the
she's the
control
liaison.
of the ZBA. So she'll be able to guide you in that.
Okay.
But that's your two paths.
All right. Okay.
It's if it's approved by the ZBA, it comes back to us as the
Anyway.
subdivision.
Well, that's why I was
Exactly.
confused. It's like the
Well,
tennis ball. You bounce
you-
it back
you
and forth.
could-
Wait, where do I go to first?
Worst case, you might be bounced back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best
Yeah,
case,
that's right.
maybe not.
Otherwise,
All
just
right.
get back to us.
Because that's
Have my
what we're
fingers
trying to
crossed.
give you some,
Right.
concept of is that if we could kind of keep it in front of us
Mhm.
and it makes some sense.
Facilitate it.
I would argue that we
Streamlined a
should
little
keep it
bit.
in front of us. Yeah.
Okay.
All
All right.
right.
So I guess I wait and hear from Shay. Okay. I'll be in touch. Oh boy, more work for Shay. Just what she needs. All right. So that's it. Do you have any questions for me or?
No, seems pretty straightforward.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Right. Have
See,
a
that
great
was an
night.
easy one. It wasn't too painful, was it?
But we're
You
not,
should have gone first.
but we're not done yet.
Right. It's not over yet.
Thanks, everyone. No. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, conceptual consultation for Daigle Electric Construction Company, 10 Danville Road, tax map 29, lot 11.
Lucky person, last one. Do we have another one? Another one? No.
We got one more after this. You can turn the page over there, Karen.
Huh?
There's one more on this, on the other page.
There is one more. Yep. So,
All right. Name and address and whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Tom Schaumburg of SEC Associates, here on behalf of Daigle Electrical Construction for a conceptual consultation. The property located at 10 Danville Road. The property is located within the C1 zoning district. This parcel has 489.52 feet of frontage along Danville Road, consisting of approximately 4.37 acres of land. The lot as it stands supports multiple uses, each with parking areas, septic system, well, and other appurtenances. The site generally slopes from Danville Road toward the rear of the property. So the applicant formally requesting a conceptual consultation to discuss the proposal for the subject property to allow for the removal of an existing dwelling, the dwelling has at this point been raised. And then the subsequent construction of a new dwelling in a different location on the property. Proposed dwelling will adhere to all setback requirements of the C1 district. And then the dwelling will be served by a new well and septic system to be designed at a later date. Happy to answer any questions. Primarily, really just kind of looking to see, whether an amended site plan is going to be required to the mixed-use lot, or if this can just be a building permit certified plot plan.
What was that last part?
Just a standard building permit with the certified plot plan.
Okay. So that's basically the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Proposed house location. Is that what it is?
So I'm looking at the north end of the property, so that raised, that structure that says raised, that's gone.
Yeah, so what had happened is the applicant had received a demolition permit and a septic permit and had demoed the building, was going to receive a building permit, and then was kind of stopped. And we were prompted to have this conceptual. So that building has been raised, and the intent that now is to propose a new house, a different location, fully compliant with all the setbacks.
Are there other
The other houses.
dwellings on the property?
Yeah, so there's, I believe it's 3 dwellings and then 1 commercial use. So on the plan, it's number 10, number 8, and one of the buildings on number 6 would be the residential, whereas the commercial building is the auto maintenance facility, and then the kind of gravel parking storage to the rear. So there should be 3 residential and 1 commercial.
Is that the 3-bay garage?
Well, I mean, my first question is, how do you get, this lot's been merged at some point in time, correct?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Right.
So how do you get 3 dwellings on one lot?
Yeah, it's an interesting lot.
Exactly.
Done like that for a long time.
Yeah.
So that would make the lot,
Lot line to be
well,
extinguished.
those are all gone, but I'm just saying that would make the lot as at least to the residential structures, right? Would that make it non-conforming?
So I think with the consolidated lot at this point, it's really a mixed use commercial with
Residential, right?
yeah,
And because it's
multifamily almost.
It's also in the Danville Road
Yeah.
overlay too.
Yep.
So, no, I'm just asking the questions out loud.
Yeah.
What we have to do here.
Yep. Wow. Okay.
I mean, placing one house with another doesn't really strike me as that big of a
No,
deal.
and it's hitting all the setback. All the setbacks are gonna be fine. and-
Right, exactly.
Well, the question is whether or not you're going to have an amended site plan,
Site plan,
or if you're going
right.
to go with a certified.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
So
I,
what's the downside of going with a certified plot as opposed to an amended site plan? I mean, it probably costs less, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, God.
I would,
it
I would
costs
vote for the plot
Okay.
personally.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if, to the extent this is what you want to do, there's no, in my opinion, there's no real need to go through the expense of amending a whole site plan.
Nope.
So in terms of like what's filed, is a certified plot filed with the county, or is it kept in-house here in the building department, or?
So I don't believe anything's been filed yet. I believe they went to file the building permit and were denied, I want to say. I'd have to kind of double check on what has been filed. I know at least for a fact that the demo permit was and the septic permit was.
Okay. But I guess what I'm saying is where does a filed plot plan go? I mean, where, for the new house?
I believe it would be with the town.
Okay. So it's staying with the town. Okay. So it'd be curated in the planning office or the building.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shay, you see any problems with that says hell no or it's okay?
For having a plot plan
Yeah.
or the uses or.
Yeah, I mean, just rather than having an amended site plan.
I haven't seen one come forward, so I'm not sure what the
Yeah, I mean
the
that's
process has been in the past, but I want to follow certainly what has been done
okay.
previously.
Yep. Yeah, don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the only thing is just a question of what that process is. I haven't seen one, so it's
No.
a first for me.
I agree.
So,
I mean, if you just look at this as to what it is, I mean,
yeah, it doesn't seem.
it's a residential building,
Yeah.
that normally we would never even look at.
Should we just have Shay take a look, see what,
I think that's the argument.
and that's kind of it, right?
Yeah, I think that's the argument right there, that it's, it's residential, you wouldn't see it.
One building, put another one on,
Yeah.
I mean, meets the criteria.
Exactly.
So you're gonna drill a new well here, new septic,
That's what it
so that
says.
has to go through
Yeah.
the process anyways.
Exactly.
It's all state.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
I'm like, should be right. And to me, I don't see why.
I don't see any problem with that one.
No, I agree with you. I agree.
No, just looking to see why one over the other, and so I think sounds like a good plan. All right.
Yep. Okay, so that goes with that one.
Is the individual who made the wall going across, is he still employed by the?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent wall.
Quite the wall.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Cool beans. All right. Take a second to get oriented here. All right. I think next on our agenda here, conceptual consultation for JJ Lambs LLC, 244 Main Street, tax map 18 lot 10. Are you, all right, look at that.
So again, good evening, Chair, members of the board. I'm Schaumburg of SEC Associates here regarding a conceptual consultation for a potential subdivision and planned residential development for the property located at 244 Main Street. The existing parcel is located within the medium-density residential and low-density residential districts, containing approximately 18 acres and is currently vacant. This lot's being considered for both a subdivision and a PRD. The existing driveway on the site would be improved to allow the development of the PRD. This driveway is located kind of centrally on the lot. And then a separate lot would be created to the north. The intent would be to create the individual lot separate from the PRD. So this lot is bisected by the zone line for the LDR and the MDR zones. The house would be located within the LDR zone. However, we're meeting the minimum area requirements of the zoning ordinance for just the MDR zone. So the purpose of this conceptual consultation is for discussion of the PRD and then whether a variance will be required for the subdivision as proposed. Answer any questions.
What is the existing building there?
So what's the acreage split between LDR and MDR?
For the overall lot,
Yeah.
I don't have it for the total lot, but it looks like it's about 50-50 for the proposed lot to be kind of subdivided off with the single-family house.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but I was just.
Yeah, that's about 1 acre of MDR and about
Yeah.
1.5, 1 3/4 for LDR.
And have you done the calc for the PRD? Have you figured out how many units you're talking about in total?
I don't have the number,
Okay.
but somebody else at our office has done that and does have it.
Now, in terms of saying that, you'd asked the question of, would a variance be required? What are you,
Yeah,
what's
so
your
the-
initial
the-
thoughts on that?
The confusion's coming up is that because the lot is bisected by both zones and
LDR and the other.
we're really only meeting the area requirement of the MDR zone, but we're proposing the dwelling in the LDR zone.
The LDR zone.
And that's just to kind of prevent needing to cross the brook there. So that's kind of where the confusion comes of we're not sure if a variance will be required for that or, if we could still build the house in the LDR portion of the lot because it at least meets the MDR requirements. Yeah.
That's a difficult.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Well, I think in the ordinance, I think it's pretty specific that in order to meet the requirements for the BDR, you have to be, I think it's as brief as 10 words in a sentence that you have to meet the criteria of the specific district.
For the PRD?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the PRD, we would be meeting that criteria. The intent with the subdivided lot wouldn't be for a
LDR
PRD.
zone up there.
It would just be for a one dwelling unit.
So given that you would meet the density requirements, if you will, the number of lots. So LDR, the piece of the PRD and the LDR would meet the LDR requirements.
Yes.
And MDR, the piece in the MDR would meet the MDR requirements.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Oh, he's got the LDR then.
You're just thinking of the single house off to the
Yeah.
kind of north.
Yeah. So again, it was kind of get some initial feedback on the PRD portion, but primarily to discuss whether a variance would be required for the subdivided lot for just a regular residential use.
Again, not dissimilar. I think that's something, if in a subdivision plan, we may be able to.
Right.
We may be able, it may fall under our waiver requirements.
I don't know.
If we were inclined, but I think
I think you should go the other way. I don't know. I think maybe ZBA for that.
So one more time, just for the record here, we're looking for whether or not there's going to be a variance required because it's being built in the LDR.
LDR.
Right, but it's being bisected for the LDR and MDR district. So the waiver or the variance you're thinking about is because of that bisection.
Yes. Yep.
And then the question becomes, is that something that's
That we can
waivable
do?
by us or if that's.
Right, or by the ZBA.
Actually, so we
And
have
you satisfied the PRD calculation because you're saying that the residents are wholly built in the was it the LDR you're saying? The LDR district?
So the potential lot labeled 18-10-2
Right, so it's all on
wouldn't be
there.
a part of the the PRD. As far as the PRD, we would meet any of the required density requirements for both both zones.
But the lot's 112,000 square feet. I mean, if it was just LDR, that requirement is 100,000 square feet.
Yeah, so it's just the bisections making
Right,
it, so in the MDR portion, we meet the area, we have a buildable area as well. We just obviously want to avoid trying to cross the brook if we can.
Yeah, I think that one, I wouldn't have a problem with. I mean, the overall parcel works, I think where you want to place the house in the best area, why that's good for us all.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that one,
We can handle that one.
I could find a way to kind of think about that. And again, it's probably in the same thing as the previous applicant, if somehow it works in our subdivision regulations and we have some
Then we could do that too.
room in the elbow, so to speak, to waive these things.
Yep.
This would kind of fall in the same boat for me. I'm more interested to see, okay, how big is this thing? Rather than having a number stuck in Funkin' Wagnall's, back porch.
Yeah.
So are all these structures gone?
Which structure,
Oh,
sorry?
because we did, that main piece there, because we did the lot line adjustment.
Correct.
So that lot still exists
Right.
with the commercial building and,
Yes, yep.
yeah. And that's just the separate lot, everything's there.
Yeah.
Okay. And where would you come in, using the driveway?
Yeah, so the intent is that we would use that driveway for the PRD.
Yeah.
The plan is also up on the computer too, if you want to pull it up on the screen.
No. Oh, wasn't there yet.
It's a
I think it's the
244.
last one.
Okay, yeah, no, I had that in front of me, but I was just,
We do have a more engineered plan, but we cannot share it tonight. But
no, and really, it's not about plans, it's just about concepts, so.
Right.
I'm just trying to think,
Maybe we should be able to do that.
is this something that may have to go in front, is there gonna be any buffer encroachments on wetlands or anything? Or-
my understanding is that there won't be any buffer encroachments.
That's even better.
This is not sitting. You're sitting in the aquifer protection district, I believe, right?
Yes. Yep. It's in the a portion of it's within the less than 1,000 transmissivity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thought with the PRD is that we would come in with that shared driveway, rather
These
off of that
wetlands
driveway,
right there.
and
Yep.
the PRD cluster would kind of be located, primarily in this area within the MDR portion of the lot. It would be outside of any wetland buffers, setbacks, and all that.
Okay. Right. I mean, of course, you're likely to experience some robust interest in this
Yes.
particular development. Okay.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, unless I don't see much more here unless I'm missing something.
Well, I think, I don't, I mean, are we looking to get guidance on whether or not
Did you go to the?
if there's going to be relief from, or does there need to be relief? Does it come from us, or does it have to come from the ZBA?
Right.
Well, I mean, I think it's worthwhile, again, with the same.
Probably just go,
Ask.
so bounce it off again from legal.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Bounce it off the
Give
legal.
you feedback and say, okay, it's not us, it's the ZBA.
all right, we'll coordinate through the planning office with respect to that. So we'll probably craft something probably tomorrow. Sure.
That's all for me, if that's all for you.
Yeah, right. That's it. Yeah, nothing else you want to?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going.
Cool beans. Have a good night.
Thank you.
It's kind of a week. All right. For respect to conceptuals, that's it.
Thank you.
I just have I think I have a couple of things just that won't take long, just in terms of like old business. Shay, did you have any type of update with respect to impact fees? I mean, I know okay.
I can provide that. So it sounds like the consultant is sort of wrapping up and has gathered a lot of the data that's required. They also stated that they would provide comments on the existing impact fee ordinance as well as part of their process. But they're confirming capacity for fire and police is sort of their last thing, and then beginning to write the report.
Okay. And what was sent last, the last report that we had, that constitutes half, I think. Is that half of what we agreed to pay? And then probably have to revisit what it means when they submit a report. I can't remember if there was supposed to be a hearing on it or something like that.
I wasn't here for the beginning part of that process.
Okay.
Not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, so we should probably, start looking to see what it is that's required on the back end. Once it's completed, there's supposed to be a hearing on it or anything like that.
Who adopts new fees?
Yeah, just.
Yeah, they have to be,
Who
yeah.
adopts new
Yeah, just if we're getting close to that, we'll probably bring that into our consciousness.
This is the new plan of that.
I know with respect to master plan updates, I mean, we've had we've sent stuff out, and then I think the Board of Selectmen, you might have
We're
had.
all set.
You're all set.
I gave it to Shay.
Okay. So we've had at least from, we've had a number of responses. So at some point, we should probably be,
And I have the draft of the Conservation Committee, so that'll come in another couple of days.
okay. All right. So, I mean, in terms of getting responses, we just probably should look to see who hasn't responded and, just sort of remind them nicely that we'd like them to respond. And then we should probably aggregate that information together and start thinking about, how to incorporate it into what it means to be updating the master plan, or if we need to make it a little more robust. Again, we asked them to look at what was existing. If they felt that they want to add something, they could have. But, maybe when we look at it, we incorporate those responses, do some of the work of adjusting dates and maybe even adding content that we think should be added. So there was no RPC meeting. It was canceled for the month of May. With respect to RPC, we should probably, like I said, I don't know what to say, but probably should have a conversation with them and say that what is it that you think you can do for us if it's not going to be what, we initially envisioned.
Originally asked for.
Right. I mean, because putting on my budget committee hat, I don't think if we're not getting bang for the buck, if we're not getting the input that we want and it doesn't help us in some way, Then, we can't. We're gonna have money left over, so. That's all I have. Anyone else have anything? All right, no one has anything, then I'll.
The bond and the escrow.
Yes, there we are, look at that. Did have something.
Look at the bond, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was just going through that. Here we go. Yep.
All right. So we'll start the one. Escrow account closing request, 191 Plastow Road. The planning department has received a written request attached from the developer, a project to release and return remaining escrow funds. There will not be any additional engineering review or inspection for this project. The request was received from Keith Bernard, Modern Link Communications LLC, regarding the amended site plan for 191 Plastow Road. The project is complete and all invoices have been paid. The current balance in the escrow account is $1,698.98. It is recommended that the escrow in this account be released and refunded and the account closed. All right. Someone want to read
I'll make a motion.
Want to read the draft motion?
I gotta go find it.
This one right here.
Want me to just read it, Dan, while you're looking at it?
Yeah, you got it. You got it. You read it.
Rapidly.
I move, that was, yeah, Bill, you can read it. 'cause
All right.
I had 132.
Noting that all site work has been completed and inspected and all outstanding invoices have been paid, I move to refund the remaining escrow funds in the amount of $1,698.98 to Modern Link Communications LLC for 191 Plastow Road and to close the escrow account.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 500.
So do we have Dan Kane making that motion or Bill Boyd?
No, Bill did. Dan fumbled the ball. Bill picked it.
I was ready for 132.
Right, to this one. Right.
He was a few houses off.
All right.
I
Okay,
could've read it.
construction bond set, 132 Plastow Road. The project for 132 Plastow Road has met all conditions of the board's approval and has been recorded at the Rockingham County Registry of Deeds. The next step in their process is to have the board set their construction bond. Please find the attached bond estimate worksheet as reviewed by Keach Nordstrom Associates. Per the subdivision review regulation, Article 3, 235-12, board's procedures on plans, paragraph 10, construction bonds, subparagraph A for the site plans. The security for site plans include amended site plans shall be greater amount of 10% of the total site improvement cost estimate or $5,000. Based on the regulation following, do I have someone want to read the draft motion?
I'll read it.
You got
Got
it.
it.
He's been waiting.
Just do it.
To set the construction bond for the 132 Plastow Road project at $51,815.50, which is 10% of the bond estimate worksheet amount of $518,155 as reviewed by Keach Nordstrom Associates.
I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 500. All right. Any other extant business, new business, old business?
I have one more thing.
All right.
It's the last piece of paper in your packets. We received a request this afternoon regarding a conceptual application that was submitted for 132 Plastow Road. And they're requesting to be put on the June 3rd agenda.
Yeah.
I say no.
Yeah, what are we gonna do now? We have no homework
Because
ever.
we're gonna have, we gotta get,
And that one could take a while.
yeah, so I want to give this one its due course,
Yeah, it's proper due.
yeah.
Right, I think that makes
We've
sense.
Yeah, we've already agreed to
Yeah.
the estates one, so I think that's enough.
Is there consensus on it? Regis?
I agree with
Yes.
Dan.
All right,
I agree with Dan.
okay. Can we not put it on our workshop.
June 3rd one. No,
I feel
Cool
like
beans.
there's not gonna be
Anything
a lot of
else?
Work going on, not as much shopping.
All right, then we'll close the meeting at 8:34. Thank you.
okay.